Hi, everyone. Manuela Marcheggiani from Isomer Skincare, and welcome to this episode of Confessions of a Cosmetic Chemist. This is the podcast where we talk about skincare ingredients, and things that happen to us as we age and change at different stages in our life. So today's topic is going to be perimenopausal and menopausal skin. Just so that you know, this is something that I know very well. I've experienced it at 61 years old. I've gone through all those various stages. And so I'm hoping to be able to shed some light and information on what it's like to have this type of skin, to have these changes, what to do about it. You know, when I started in the skincare industry over 35 years ago. So I'm a cosmetic chemist. I'm a formulator. I own and operate Isomer's Laboratories out of Toronto, Canada, where we make problem-solving skincare. It all started because I had really bad skin. I had bad skin because autoimmune issue. I had a bad skin because hereditary issues. I had bad skin just also because I was a young person with very active oil glands. So there was many reasons for that, but it was out of control. And I learned the hard way. How to take care of my skin. That's what made me a really good formulator or product developer, because there's no information out there. And so we created formulas based on isobaric chemistry to solve the issue, like taking the skin that is not normal, not behaving properly, and doing everything that we can to make it behave properly. So when we did this, which was very interesting, right, is that we started working on, acneic skin. Then as I got a little bit older, it was aging skin, fine lines and wrinkles, maybe something happening around the eye area. Then you start to notice in your 40s, the loss of elasticity and tone. And it came to me that, especially after having children, right? And I had children late in life after I was 35. So I was 35, I was 37 when I had my two children. The hormonal changes, it's a late pregnancy. There's a lot of hormonal changes going on. My skin really changed a lot. It really started to lose its tone and shape. It wasn't bouncing back as quickly. And I think a lot of it had to do because of my age, right? So maybe if you're having children in your 20s, your body is younger, it's fitter, your collagen is better, your elastin is better. You're older, and probably I was starting to already enter perimenopause, because this is not something that just happens overnight, right? It's like a slow little getting into it. And we started to talk about menopause and perimenopause and the hormonal changes of the skin. And we were told, because we're on TV shopping, and it's very difficult to get on TV shopping, because if you're in a retail environment, it's all about your distribution. It's all about kind of who you know. And if you're on an e-commerce platform, again, it's just getting in. But when you're on TV shopping, you have to go through a lot of vigorous testing. You've got to prove your formulas, prove your ingredients, prove what it's doing. You have to be a reputable source, especially when you have longevity like 27 years that we have in the industry. That history, that pedigree says a lot. Not many companies out there have this type of history, pedigree, reputation, formulation capability. So we're talking about different ages and stages, and we started talking about menopause. And we were told, you cannot talk about menopause. You're a skincare company. And we're like, what do you mean? The skin is changing and aging. It's like the natural part of aging. No, you are skincare. You can't treat or talk about disease. You can't cure or treat disease. And we're like, when was menopause or aging a disease? And this is like something that we're learning from, 20, 30 years ago. We really today in 2024, we talk about a lot of things very, very easily. We share a lot of experiences, and we bring forward a lot of things that 20 years ago were taboo. We were not allowed to talk about. So we started to talk about aging and hitting your 50s and 60s and talking about menopause and perimenopause and how it changes your skin and that your hormones change. You don't have the same hormone levels. Therefore, the hormones that are feeding your skin and feeding your collagen, they're no longer there. What happens to your skin, your collagen, your skin starts to thin out. It starts to dry out. It becomes much more vulnerable. You get the hot flashes. You get the prickliness. You start to see that loss of tone and loss of elasticity. A lot of times, I'm always saying you don't have that memory in your skin. Jiggly jowls. We saw all of this happening. And just like the problem I had with my skin as a young adult and as a teen and young adult, with the acne, with the breakouts and all of that stuff, with the rashes, with the welts, I can see the sagging. And so started looking at hormonal aging and started ignoring what people were saying. This is not a disease. This is a natural road, a natural path that we're walking through, and started looking at it. How do people deal with menopause? What do you take for menopause? What do you eat during menopause? What is going on? What helps with the hot flashes? What is happening? So Darish and I did a lot of research, and we started to look at soy. And we started to look at soy because why? Because when women were going through menopause, and if you're going to do a therapy that's natural, plant-derived therapy, you're going to have more soy in your diet because it would help with the hot flashes. It would help with the plant itself has estrogen-like compounds, has sterols in there. And there was a lot of behavior of the plant that was similar to humans. For example, one of our formulas that we created, which is the R-Pure, it contains germinating soy extract. So so when the soy germinates, and we wanted to take it at that point because at that point it had the highest nutritional profile, so we can get the most essence out of the plant at that time using this thing called supercritical fluid extraction. So it's how you're going to be able to isolate this ingredient in a cold process so it doesn't denature it in any way. It doesn't harm it in any way, doesn't change the structure or efficacy in any way, right? Then we looked at this other element of the soy plant, germinating soy root nodules. So in the root of the soy itself, it had these little nodules, these little bubbles. And if you burst open the bubble, it would go from clear to red. And one of the scientists, I remember, Vince, his name was Vince Gruber, he said, do you notice that this behaves very similar to human plasma? Like in the sense that our blood is kind of like blue, and then when it hits the air, it turns red. So this was the life force. This symbiosome was the life force within the soy. And we realized, wait a minute, we're going to use the soy. We're going to use the germinating soy extract and the symbiosome. We're going to isolate the genistein from here. We're going to isolate the fact that this is a relationship. They protect each other. The soy symbiosome protects the soy, so they actually nourish each other. And we're going to take this extract and we're going to utilize it topically onto the skin. And the reason why we wanted to do that is we wanted to replace the lost fats, refatten the skin lipid, because that was one of the main structural changes that happens to your skin through menopause. You lose a lot of the skin fat, the skin lipids. And that loss of fat, that loss of lipids actually makes your skin drier, rougher, more sensitive, and thinner. And what? Less elastic. So studying this is where, and we started doing this very early on. We started doing this about 25 years ago. So we were very early adopters to the understanding that menopause is not a disease, and it's a natural form of aging, and there are structural changes that happen to the body, and therefore you want to use your skincare in a way to help replace those lost elements. And you can replace those lost elements when you follow a proper routine and you understand why you're using it. So a lot of times people will say, well, I'm just using a collagen peptide or I'm just using a retinoid. And that's only maybe a third or a half of the equation. It's not the full equation, because it's not that your skin can't make a little bit more collagen or it can't benefit from creating more collagen. It's the fat. It's the hormonal fat. It's the isoflavones. It's those essences that are really the kicker. It's that nutrient-rich fat, that genistein that is in there, the isoflavones that are in there that help to create the integrity of the elasticity, the memory of the skin. Helps with the thickening, helps with the cushioning, helps with the elasticity of the skin. And that's what really takes it from regular skincare to hormonal aging, menopausal skincare, the difference in and why you need to ramp up. When you have a baby, you start with formula or you start with breast milk, and then you start with formula or pablum and you wean your way into it, right? With hormonal aging, we want to use the right ingredients, the right support system, because your skin is now deficient in things. When you're younger, you want to build up to a tolerance. When you're older, things start falling out. and we want to replace them back in. And this is where the need for different formulation and different understanding of what's happening to your skin during menopause. In my 60s, I was thinking, going through menopause and going through that change and realizing that everything becomes dry and brittle and more fragile. And it's true, it does. But there are things you can do. And yes, my skin looks better now than it did 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Why? Because my skincare ramped up, because my skincare does contain those elements that are replacing those lost elements. I don't have the same amount of fat I used to. I don't have, the hormones that I used to in my body that I had 10 years ago or 20 years ago. That means my skin is thinner, but you don't see it. Why? Because topically, there's things that we can do with the skincare and using the right skincare at the right time. Those ingredients like genistein, like the isoflavones, huge. Hormone fluctuations and impact on your skin. It's going to make your skin. So as your estrogen levels go down, the lipids in your skin go down, your skin becomes thinner, becomes drier, it becomes more brittle. It's not going to bounce back as much. So you start to, and it also loses its structure. So you start to see those deeper nose to mouth lines. You start to see the softening of the contour. Everything starts to shift. You kind of look like you're melting a little bit. Then compound that with a little bit of inflammation, right? And vascularity, which is another thing that happens. We become much more vascular. We flush very easily. We get hot very easily. Our skin temperature and metabolism changes. Also, our skin temperature actually goes a little bit colder. And that's because it's not as warm. It's not as vital as before. It doesn't repair as quickly. It doesn't respond as quickly. These are all real things that are happening as we're aging. Common symptoms and signs of perimenopause of perimenopausal skin: dryness, sagging, sensitivity, wrinkles. But now we're talking about deep lines, deep creases, deep wrinkles. You're losing volume. Your skin, you lose the fat underneath. Your skin is thinning out, you're losing volume. It's like being a Shar-Pei in the sense that you've got all this extra fabric, all this extra skin, but underneath your structure doesn't hold it the same anymore. So what do we want to do? We want to go in there and we want to replenish as much as we can. This is why some of the interventions that they do, like a microneedling, like lasers, are really good for menopausal skin, especially when you're losing elasticity. This is why a lot of times surgery is also very good in the sense that when you have a lot of skin. I mean, skincare and skincare with the isoflavones or exosomes in them, the right lipids can help to a certain degree. Maybe they can help repair 25, 30, 40%. But for some people, it's not going to do 100%. Some people, it's a big leap, especially if you compound that with weight loss and menopause. Then you really have a big deficit in the skin, between the skin and the structure itself. So a little bit of intervention is necessary. I'm not a big believer in the fillers because fillers fall. They do leave, and they fall, they migrate, they end up in places where you don't want them to be. It squares you off. Instead of being more feminine, you start to look more masculine. You start to look heavier in this area because you're naturally getting heavier in the center of your face. And this is why I like using formulations that are lifting and working on creating a V shape. And all these V-shape type ingredients and formulas are all designed to work on the elastin and collagen, all designed to stimulate the collagen and elastin in a way that you're getting this lifting more towards the hairline. Because it is true, when you get heavier in this area. The other thing that I really don't understand, and maybe, in the comments below, tell me why do people get filler here? You know you're getting bigger here. You're getting heavier in this area, but then they tend to go get filler in this place. And I've never really understood the benefit of that. I've seen the aftermath of that, and I've seen that you look heavier. Maybe you look a little bit smoother in throughout here, but I notice you look a lot puffier too. And I don't think that this is a youthful look. And I don't really see it helping with the skin lipid content and actually helping with the contours. I actually see it as counterproductive more weight, more pulling, more gravity, more sagging. And I think our idea is always going reverse, always going more towards the hairline, more towards the V shape, more towards creating a better quality skin. And when you have a better quality skin, more density in your collagen, more elasticity in your connective tissue, that quality, that fabric, which is your skin, performs better and looks better. So you can like go through this stage with better, and you still can improve. Like even though you're rapidly aging, because we are kind of accelerating it because of the hormonal issue and the aging issue, you can slow it down with the right ingredients and with the right diet, exercise, philosophy, trying to do things that really make a difference. And they do make a difference. And I didn't mean to say do in a bad way, but I like saying do sometimes. Okay, so my skincare routine and what I would recommend for someone, hormonal aging, perimenopausal skin, you're looking at your skin, you're like, oh my gosh, this is what I've done too. I've done this too. I look in the mirror, and there are times, and you can see if you watch me on Shop HQ, or if you watch some of the content or some of the B-roll that we have created. I mean, I've been doing this for 35 years, right? 27 years on TV. You've seen at times where I've gained a little bit more weight. I've lost a little bit of weight now too, because I've taken out pasta and rice and bread for the last 2 months. Literally made a world of difference, I didn't realize how much pasta and bread I eat. I miss it. But I noticed that I've upped the protein. I wanted to see how my skin would respond as well by doing that. The skin quality is better. It's clearer. I've always had a Mediterranean diet. I think that really helps a lot too. When you're going through menopause, your gut health is super important. It really speaks to your skin health. It also is going to speak to how you're sleeping and your energy. I think all of these things are important. So I would say have a nice, clean diet. Don't eat processed food. Don't eat all those chemicals. Don't eat all of those packaged foods. I know some of them taste really delicious, and some people crave the fried food. I literally take categories out of my diet completely. I take them out not for weight loss. I take them out for health, overall health and longevity. Food quality, like skin quality and skincare quality, are very important. And the older you get, the pickier you need to be, the wiser you need to be, because everything you're doing is either building you up or tearing you down. The food that you're eating, the skincare that you're using, the water that you're drinking or not, all of these things are going to add or deplete or take away from your overall energy, quality of life, and presentation. So, step-by-step skincare routine. So we talked a little bit about the diet, skincare routine, and just before we get to skincare routine, exercise. Yes, exercise. I don't do enough exercise. I don't do weight-bearing exercise. I do have good muscle definition. I've always had very good muscle definition because I used to work out a lot in my 20s and 30s, and muscle has memory. This is the actual proof. I haven't worked out truly in the last 6 years because I did have nerve damage in my arm, right? So I was afraid. I'm afraid to do some drastic movements. So I did get a total gym. I've started slowly. I did for a couple of weeks and then I kind of stopped. I'm going to go back doing it. But I do walk about an hour and a half every day. And I walk at a good pace. I'm doing about 10 to 15,000 steps a day. I got, with the dog. This is really good. It does a couple of things. It creates a routine. It gets your body moving. It's going to get the blood flowing and the circulation going. It helps with pain management. Absolutely. It helps with flexibility. It helps put you on this routine as well. It helps make you go outside and get some fresh air and look at the elements. All of this is going to help for menopausal skin too, because what's happening in here and what's happening in here helps what this looks like. And it also helps put you on a routine and understand the things that you're going to have the energy to do what you need to do. And you don't have to do a lot of things. They just be selective and kind of be deliberate and have a plan. Skincare routine, gentle cleanser. Yes, you don't want to use a harsh cleanser. I like using what we have, a double duty cleanser. This cleanser is oil and water cleanser. So it is a nice marriage between the two with gentle exfoliants in there. So there's AHA and BHA in there. This is going to help clean your skin. It helps hydrate the skin, balances the acid mantle. Acid mantle, your microbiome, super important, especially during menopause. When you have these hormonal fluctuations, you have reduced ability to retain moisture in your skin. You are much more vulnerable. So you want to increase your barrier function, more ceramides, which is going to be helped by your healthy microbiome. Reduce transepidermal water loss, very important. A gentle cleansing will get you a long way into that. You want hydrating serums. Again, you want that moisture in there for hydration. I like using a glutathione with a growth factor, and then I like using the R Pure, which is the genistein, the soy isolates, and that really helps too with refattening the skin lipid. Very, very important for menopausal skin. A rich moisturizer. A lot of people opt for a rich moisturizer because of the dryness and sensitivity. I find a rich moisturizer is counterintuitive. It doesn't really work for me. It causes more problems than benefit. I like using a probiotic or a postbiotic moisturizer. So more lightweight with a mineral sunscreen, right? Because I put the fats, the richness in my serum with the isoflavones. So in traditional skincare, they will say use a rich moisturizer, something with a bit of an occlusive, something with some essential fatty acids in there to help reduce water loss and help with the barrier function and soften your skin. But it's just basically like putting fat on your skin, but it's not the fat. It's not replacing the fat. It's not as identical as what you've actually lost. So that would be good for just a dry skin that's not menopausal, or right? But if you're menopausal, you want to actually replace those skin fats, those skin lipids that are much more identical. That is why I like the isoflavone, the isoflavone elements in there. The genistein, very important, because we really can't just take estrogen and put it back on our skin, but we can take estrogen-like, plant hormone-like, and they have very good upregulates, very good. The hydration calms the inflammation, works on the elasticity, softens and smooths the skin. You start to see these anti-aging benefits. You notice clearer skin as well. So it's almost like when you're feeding the skin exactly what it needs when it needs it, it knows what to do with it. What a concept. And this is how we've always formulated. It's always like, okay, here is perfect skin or here is normal skin at the ideal zone. And then as you're aging, things change and things come out of it. It's like almost like you have a puzzle, right? And then you're missing some pieces. So we want to put those pieces back. We may not put them exactly back, but as close as possible, you want them back. Not just cover it up with spackle. You want to put them back. This is why I think utilizing the menopausal skincare is important, because you need to speak the language of the skin, what it needs, when it needs it. Very important. Talked about that. Talked about understanding the ingredients in skincare products. Guidance on addressing common skin concerns. Okay, understanding the ingredients in skincare products. There's common ingredients used in menopausal skin. So most products, they're going to have ceramides, hyaluronate, antioxidants. That's actually good for every age and stage. It's not 100% replacement. It's better than nothing. It is going to help to a certain degree, help keep it soft and smooth. But I do think that it's really important to go with the age appropriate or the skin type appropriate, the stage, not age, stage appropriate. I've always believed in the stage. The stage is what it needs because you want to replace those lost elements because of what is happening to you during menopause. And this is for men as well as for women. So when you start seeing, because honestly, like in skincare, I know they're saying, okay, there's some guidance here that is basically saying When you have menopausal skin, just use hyaluronic acid and ceramides. Well, that's going to be great for hydrating and softening, but it's not feeding it what it needs, right? It's not giving it the hormones. It's not giving it the fats, the essential fatty acids. It's not giving it the genistein or the estrogen-like compounds like you find in the soy. This is why that extra research is done. And I think this is why you see a difference when skincare formulations, when people are actually using the right formula for the right thing that's happening. You'll also notice that with menopausal skin, you will also notice pigmentation will be an issue. So you've got a few things. You have the aging stage of your skin, which is thinning and drying out, the loss of hormones. But you could also, on top of that, have pigmentation. You can have inflammation. You can have, wrinkles and lines. So you want to deal with all of these gradually, but start right away by making the skin stronger and more fortified. In all of this, I talked a lot about the R-Pure technology, and I talked about a little bit about the exosome technology for menopausal skin. In a natural skincare routine, like what do I use as a 61-year-old on my skin? I use the R-Pure. So I use this as a concentrate a couple of times a year because in intensive, it's called boot camp. So I replenish my skin lipids that way a couple of times a year. It's an intensive that I use, and I find it very beneficial because it helps refeed that skin. It helps infuse the skin. It helps fortify the skin. On a daily basis, though, I do use an antioxidant and a retinoid and a collagen peptide. So all of these work really well together in a plan. There should be a targeted skincare plan. I have found much benefit utilizing things that are naturally occurring in the body back onto the skin. This is why I use glutathione topically, not a drip or not pills. When I talk about glutathione or glutathiazome, I'm talking about a serum that you apply on your skin. The collagen peptide serum to stimulate the collagen, a retinoid with niacinamide a few times a week. I'm still going to use these ingredients and these skincare products, formulas for my skin because it's part of the regular routine. But I will supplement on top of that the isoflavones, the genistein, the soy symbiosomes, the phosphatidylcholine. All important things because there's anatomical shifts, there's fat shifts, there's just things that are happening that need the replenishment. So you've got your basic skincare routine, then you've got the addition. Common questions. A lot of people say to me, is it too late? My skin is reacting. It's very fragile. It's very delicate. Is it too late for me? It's never too late. I think a lot of the misconception, especially with older skin and menopausal skin, you think, well, that's it. I'm done, right? But your skin will, if fed and treated properly, it will respond and it can come back. And when you are using the engineered skincare, and it doesn't have to be crazy stuff. You don't have to go through very expensive procedures or very expensive product. It just has to be the right technology at the right time. You can make a difference with your skin. This will take a little bit of time, of course, but you can start to see really positive changes within the first couple of weeks. Absolutely. I know for a fact, I've seen it, I've witnessed it. When we do the most valuable peptide technology, when we have certain delivery systems, the exosome delivery system, even, 80-year-old skin. And I love doing research on older skin, 60-year-old skin, 70-year-old skin, 80-year-old skin. Why? Because when you do research on young skin, 20, 30-year-old skin, they're so close to perfect already, the change is almost nothing, right? But when you're older skin and you've got like a big road ahead of you, you can start to see how the skin changes and adapts very, very quickly. It wants to do its job. It just needs to be supported in a way to be able to do its job. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this has sparked interest, answered some of your questions, made you want to embrace this stage. Your skin is going to respond very, very nicely if you give it what it needs, when it needs it. I think you can have great looking skin and a lot of vitality and a lot of energy at this age and stage. I mean, we can literally, with science and the right ingredients and the right formulas, we can redefine any age, any stage. It's just a little bit of education, a little bit of application, and away you go. So I hope you enjoyed this segment of Confessions of a Cosmetic Chemist. As always, I look forward to your questions and comments and your feedback. Let me know what interests you and what's happening to you at this age and stage, and what more insight we can share. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day.